I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here I share legal and entertainment news from a psychological perspective. Today, we are going to dive right into Lori Vallow. She was found competent to stand trial, and she was also given the opportunity to answer questions about representing herself. If you know nothing about this case, Lori Vallow Daybell is on trial after she has already been convicted of the capital M of her daughter and her son and conspiracy for Tammy Daybell. I don't know if her and Chad legally got married. I think they did legally get married. And so Chad Daybell is her husband. Chad Daybell was also arrested, charged, and convicted, and he was sentenced to death for those crimes. He is not on trial in Arizona for the death of Lori's, was it fourth husband? She was married a lot. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But I think it was her fourth husband. So I don't think she faked it. I think she did learn what she can and can't say. I think when she was first on trial for Tylee and JJ, she does have these bizarre religious beliefs, but those beliefs are not currently interfering with her understanding of the court system. A person can have strange or odd beliefs. They can even be possibly even a little delusional, but if they can understand who the judge is, if they can understand what a lawyer does, if they can understand the court process and not impede that process, they can be found competent to stand trial. It doesn't mean that they're competent to is just competent to stand trial. And in the past, she spent 10 months restoring competency to be able to stand trial in her first case. And in that process, she learned this is the court, this is what you can and can't do. These are your lawyers. You have to talk to them. They are here to assist you because there's some people in situations like hers where they think they think their lawyer is against them. I think she goes beyond delusional. And Sarah, I agree with your first statement because I want to share, if you all haven't seen Colby Ryan, Colby Ryan is Lori Vallow's surviving son. I have this video linked in the description. He has given a reaction to this news. We were all pretty prepared that this was something that she wanted to do. We all knew that this was definitely a possibility, but the power this is going to give her and the control that this is going to give her and the platform that this is going to give her is going to cause pain for everybody involved. And it really reminds me of the Darrell Brooks case, where Darrell Brooks, he was the one to cross-examine the victims from his crime. He was the one to cross-examine his ex-girlfriend, Erica. He was the one, and that can be very stressful for a victim, but sometimes they can find power in it, standing up to them, being able to say their truth. But Colby mentioned in this video that this has reopened wounds. This really has reopened, and these people, they're just trying to heal. And the other thing about this part is there are going to be two trials coming out of Arizona. So this first trial is going to be about Charles Vallow, and then the second trial is going to be the attempted capital M of Brandon Boudreaux, her niece's ex-husband, but I think they were married at the time. It's just, and this opens a lot of questions of, is she going to call Chad? Like, she has the potential to call witnesses because Chad Daybell, after the death of murder of Charles Vallow, Chad was the one calling around to try to get him cremated, and Chad lied and like gave a fake name, like he is in that discovery. So Chad could very well be called as a witness in this trial. We don't know if it'll happen. This trial is going to happen in March. So we will see. And she is not delaying the trial. So even though they were married at the time, so he couldn't be cross-examined on their conversations, but there is a phone recording. It's my understanding. I believe there's a recording of Chad calling that funeral home. So their conversations would be privileged, but their actions definitely are not. Because I'm thinking the state's case was because Charles Vallow was trying to reach out to Tammy and was trying to inform Chad's wife about the affair. That's what Charles was trying to do. And so we are going to break down this part. I Some people like for coverage to happen in a different way. I personally like to take a look at this and then we talk about it versus just summarizing it all. Like I really like to take a look at it. This is only 13 minutes long. I am going to interrupt it at times. I have the full link down in the description. So this is from Friday, Lori Vallow Daybell's hearing, where the judge is going to mention, because I think it was on Thursday that she was found competent. And then this hearing was about if she could represent herself. And I have some thoughts.
Good morning, Your Honor. Pamela Hicks and Robert Abernathy on behalf of Lori Vallow Daybell, who's present and in custody.
Thank you. Tell me.
Okay, so some people also, so I listen to things at a fast speed. Okay. It's okay. We can do it regular speed. Regular speed isn't too bad. I will see. If it bothers me too much, I apologize. Like thank you for being patient with me, or for, whatever, however I need to say that. But let's go ahead and listen to this.
Tell me your name and date of birth, please.
Lori Daybell, 6/26/1973.
All right, thank you. We're here for a status conference. You've been found competent by two separate healthcare providers. Is it your intention, ma'am? You had expressed earlier that you would like to represent yourself.
Yes, sir.
Is that still your intention?
Yes, Your Honor.
So I did. If you haven't listened, on Colby Ryan's page, he also has the interview that he recently did with her. And she continues to hold very strange beliefs. Lori continues to try to have this platform and to spew all of her ridiculousness. I covered her sentencing. Okay, good. I'm getting permission in the chat to speed it up. Thank you so replay crew, please blame the people that are present, okay? So just 1.25. Not too bad, okay? All right. So because a lot of us have already seen this, because this is probably my third or fourth time hearing this. I did check out Lawyer Lee. So Lawyer Lee is a lawyer here on YouTube. She covered this from a legal perspective, and she broke down the law regarding competency, and she broke down the law related to representing yourself. And what the judge goes through is, I think, a Supreme Court decision. My brain, I just watched it last night, but I don't remember. Like, it's a specific decision that the judge is running through with her to make sure that she is found, like, can she represent herself? Like, is she going to have this option? All right, let's go.
All right.
I may approach, Your Honor.
You do understand that you have the right to have attorneys represent you during your cases?
I do.
What grade did you finish in school?
I graduated from high school.
Do you read and understand English?
I do.
Have you had any drugs, alcohol, or medication in the last 24 hours?
No.
Are you currently prescribed any medications in the jail?
No.
Now, even if she was prescribed medication, I don't know that that would make it to where she could not represent herself, or but the court would just be aware of whatever medications. Because let's say she was prescribed Zoloft or she was on an antipsychotic or something like that. If she was on a medication, there might be a psychiatrist or somebody else that might speak to, does that medication impair her ability to make this decision? But I was surprised that she is on no medication. None whatsoever. Let's keep it going.
Do you believe you're able to present a defense at trial?
I do.
Are you able to listen to what the court, counsel, and witnesses say during trial?
Yes, I will.
Do you believe
So if she lied here, because so her attorney would speak up, or like I well, and she's trying to represent herself. I believe in her competency evaluations, if she was on medications, that would be in there. So I do believe this statement that she is not on any medications. I do believe that. All right, let's keep it going.
you're able to ask witnesses questions that are relevant to the case and to your defense?
Absolutely.
Are you able to communicate effectively, do you believe, with the court, counsel, opposing counsel, and the jury?
I do.
I will make a finding that in court, you do appear to act appropriately, speak appropriately, and communicate appropriately. Have you ever represented yourself before?
Not yet.
I do have a waiver form, one for each of your cases. You've gone over that waiver form with your attorneys.
I did.
You understand the waiver forms.
I did.
You have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, I would appoint one to represent you. The attorney would represent you at all critical stages of the case, including before trial, at trial, and if you're found guilty of sentencing. Do you understand that?
I do.
An attorney can be of great value and assistance in criminal cases. There are serious disadvantages and dangers to representing yourself. Can you just tell me a little bit why you want to represent yourself?
Before we get to her reason for why she wants to represent herself, I think it's important. One of my favorite quotes is, he that represents himself is like representing a fool. Like, you really should not, it's not recommended to represent yourself. Everybody is saying she has nothing to lose. Like, what does she have to lose with this? And if she has legal counsel, there are some things that legal counsel, they will not do. They will not say. And so, like, she's going to be in jail for the rest of her life anyway. Oh, I do think this is gonna go better than Daryl Brooks. And when I say better, not that it'll be any less painful for the victims, but Daryl Brooks made a mockery of the entire criminal system. Hey, mama. Daryl Brooks made just a mockery of, and lawyer Lee mentioned that Daryl Brooks likely forfeited his right to represent himself with all of his shenanigans, with all of his refusing to go by everything. Sarah, I see what you're saying by that makes her more dangerous, but I guess people might think, what if a jury believes her? Because she can come across believable. So Colby mentioned that the call that he posted, where Lori has the gall to blame Tylee for what happened to JJ, and that Tylee did something to herself, when the evidence shows JJ was alive when she wasn't. Like, there's evidence that completely contradicts that. There are some people that believe her. One of the most contentious videos that I recently did, and if you're a new subscriber from that video, welcome. And I'm starting to handle things a little different, where if people are going to disagree, but like, as long as people are doing it appropriately. So in my video on Melody Ferris, because somebody commented, like, this doctor, I don't know, somebody made a comment that was like, so if people start making personal attacks, that's different, because I saw a lawyer go off on Kurt. Like, it was on her channel, but like, she went off on Kurt. And I was just like, and it was about the Ashley Benefield case, but still, like, y'all know Kurt on civil law can, his personality, like the way that he talks, things that he does, sometimes Kurt can be Kurt. But he on his channel, like he was like, I wasn't meaning to be disrespectful. I was trying to handle things in a certain way. And so we can disagree. That's fine. But that other video, there are people that believe the things that Melody Ferris said that the evidence clearly contradicts. There is evidence that contradicts almost everything Melody Ferris said, and there are people that believe her. And yes, Kurt is quite yes, Kurt, and I think he embraces that uncivilness, and he wasn't like it's a whole thing. Could they use her interview with Colby? So I don't think her interview with Colby had anything to do with her Arizona case. So really, I think technically, I don't know that the jury should know that she's been found guilty of, and y'all know I'm not a lawyer. Uh like a lawyer could recommend that prior acts not come into this case. Like it could the jury might not know that she's been convicted of the other crimes, or that those crimes could all be kind of connected. And so, um, I don't even remember the word that I said when and if people don't like it's fine if people do not like certain people, that is fine. There's yes, and so but my thing is I do try to watch the chat, and I am, because we can disagree, but I want to disagree appropriately. But because and I did shut down the live chat after the Melody Ferris case, because there was one person that was just convinced of her innocence and just kept like spamming the chat. Like I was seeing it was a lot. And so I just shut down the live chat for replay, and it's just the whole thing. So Tori, so remember, I'm not a lawyer. So I don't know. I don't so all those things happened after this event. So those actions happened after Arizona. So that would be a great question for a lawyer. But all right, let's get back into this hearing. Lori is about to explain why she wants to represent herself.
Yes, Your Honor, for the past 5 years that I've been incarcerated, I have taken it upon myself to study case law and criminal rules of procedure in the state of Idaho and Arizona, as well as federally. Prior to that, for the last 10 years, prior to my incarceration, I did study procedure in family law, and I have real trial experience. I have participated in 3 different full trials from beginning to end.
In family court?
1 in family court, 2 in criminal court, 1 bench trial and 1 jury trial.
Okay. Um,
So she's currently her trial for the death of her, I want to say Charles Vallow. So that was the one before Chad, but the one she kind of conspired with. So this is the one that her brother pew-pewed. And Alex Cox claimed that it was self-defense because Alex was never charged with that crime. It's my understanding that the local news station in Arizona was the one that heard about this and was just like, something's not right. And they continued to investigate. And because I think it's Fox something, they're the ones that have the camera pool for this trial. Camera pool just means they're the ones that have cameras in the courthouse, and they provide the feedback to everyone. All right. And so, yeah, Fox. Yeah. So Fox 10, it's my understanding. So this is from Hidden True Crime, because I also watched Hidden True Crimes coverage after this and all of that. So she was convicted for Tylee, JJ, and Tammy Daybell. She has not went on trial yet for her I guess husband. And so Colby considers Charles Vallow to be a father. And so because he consistently says my dad, that she was the one that that did this for him. I have to be careful with my language on YouTube. That's why if you hear me stuttering over my words, that's why. So Alex Cox is her brother, and he is deceased. He was like a hitman for like, it's my understanding he did a lot of the dirty work. So I don't know that he died of natural causes. He died at a really opportune time for Chad and Lori, in my opinion. To me, it's kind of suspicious. I don't know if anybody's ever looked into that, but he died right before all of this. And welcome, Kurt. So since she already has a life sentence, it really can't get much worse. But my thing is for the victims, because Kay is probably gonna be called, like might be a witness in this case. Okay, so Alex died of clots in his lungs, but is there anything else? I don't, it seems suspicious to me. Okay, it just seems suspicious. So if according to the chat, okay, so he had a full autopsy. It just seemed weird. It just seemed weird. It seemed really opportune, but sometimes things happen. Sometimes things happen. All right.
You understand that you have two separate cases here. On each of these cases, if you're found guilty at trial, you'd be facing a sentence of up to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
Yes, I'm well aware of that.
And you understand that if convicted at trial, that those sentences could run consecutively or concurrently to any other sentence.
I am also well aware of that.
All right. You understand that if you represent yourself, you'll have the sole responsibility for, among other things, asserting legal defenses, interviewing witnesses, doing investigation, doing legal research, filing and arguing motions, examining and cross-examining witnesses, giving an opening statement and a final argument to the jury. Do you understand all that?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'm very prepared.
All right. Do you also understand that you'd be held to the same standard as an attorney regarding the presentation of your case? This would include knowledge of courtroom procedure, applicable case law, rules of evidence, and rules of procedure?
Yes.
All right.
I believe the first trial, because once again, I want to clarify the way Arizona's going to do it. There's going to be two trials. They're not trying the Charles Vallow and attempted of Brandon Boudreaux. They're not doing that at the same time. There are going to be two trials. And so I have heard that the trial is set jury selection. I believe it's jury selection is supposed to start March 31st. All right. They're going to have a follow-up hearing in January. And I think there was sometime in early March, there are some additional hearings scheduled. But good gosh. I wonder if Zulema might be called by either the state or the prosecution. Um, oy. I'm definitely going to watch this. I definitely will talk about any of the psychological aspects of this. This is because I do think Lori is going to try to twist and warp things in a way to, in my opinion, manipulate it into her narrative and what makes her look good and what makes her look the best, because she's very concerned with appearances. Y'all will notice we don't know how she got blonde hair dye, because like there's a strip of hair that's like blonde right here. And at one of the hearings, it looks like she's very, very concerned with how she comes across and her appearance and how things look and how people perceive her. I believe she was found to have narcissistic and histrionic personality traits. And for me, I don't think her delusion was really what caused her to do the things that she did. In my opinion, it was more of her own selfishness, because she seemed to warp her beliefs into what worked best for her, to what she wanted. Because like she like I don't think she's so far out there that she didn't understand that what she was doing was wrong. Now, I'm just saying this from my own just listening to things. I have not evaluated her. I can't say that with any degree of certainty, but we're just having a chat. Yeah. So I wonder if she got some bleach, if somehow, and there are some other things that can lighten hair too. There are things. Yes, lemons. Lemons is one. I have tried to use. I think does peroxide. There are some things that will lighten hair. All right, let's keep it going.
Each of your attorneys have gone to college undergrad degree for probably a minimum of 4 years, and then law school for an additional 3 years. So these two attorneys that are here in court each have, at a minimum, if not more, 14 years of higher education, as well as probably, I'm guessing, between the two of them, 30 to 40 years in trial experience. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that your case may be specifically complicated in the sense that there are complicated evidentiary issues in your case? Do you believe you're able to present a defense?
Yes, I'm well aware of them.
All right. Do you also understand that if at some point, especially if you're in the middle of trial, you decide that you'd like your attorneys to take over the case, you'd be effectively waiving any ineffective assistance of counsel claim that you might have because they might like a longer time to prepare?
Correct.
All right. Do you understand that even if I may allow you to represent yourself, I'll be appointing these attorneys to represent you as advisory counsel?
That's my understanding.
All right. If you want to testify at trial, you'd not be able to testify in a narrative format. Instead, you'd need to write out the questions, and the advisory counsels would ask you questions when you testify.
Yes, that's what I'm aware of.
So I actually like that. I like the way that Arizona does this. This is why I like hearing how other courts, how other judges operate, because in Arizona, if you represent yourself, you don't get to do what Robert Tellis did and just talk for. And I don't know if he had to do narrative because his team couldn't suborn perjury. Like, I think they knew he was going to lie. So there might have been an additional reason why Robert Tellis had to do a narrative format, but I like that they are going to have to ask her a list of questions. She's not going to be able to get up there and just talk off the top of her head with no direction and I like the fact that the attorney will have to ask her questions. Now she is going to give them the questions to ask. The state, remember, I'm not a lawyer. Kurt is in the chat. There are other lawyers that will cover this. The state can still object because if it's an improper question or if there's something wrong, the state can object. It will be hard. And that's where the lawyer, when they get the list of questions, I don't know if they'll even mention if there might be issues with them, but she is going to have standby counsel if at any point she changes her mind. But the judge, I don't know if we've gotten to this point yet. The judge is going to specifically say if she does decide she no longer wants to represent herself and she wants counsel, that she won't be able to go back and forth. That whatever decision she makes, she's currently going to be able to represent herself. But if she asks for counsel, she won't have to go back. And the standby counsel, it's my understanding it's going to be the two individuals, like her two most recent attorneys. So the woman sitting beside her, and then I think there's another guy that's going to be with her. All right, let's keep it going.
All right. You can change your mind about this at any time. If at any time you want to be represented by your advisory counsel, let me know. I will appoint them back to represent you as your attorneys of record. But once you make the choice to have the lawyer represent you again, I wouldn't allow you to switch back and forth. Do you understand that as well?
Correct.
You also understand that if you ask your advisory counsel to take the case back over in full, you wouldn't be able to repeat anything that had already happened in the case or do over.
Correct.
All right. Because you'll be acting as your own attorney.
I missed that the first time, that she won't be able to go back. So let's say she did something wrong, or there was like a witness that would have been helpful to get different questions, that if she does switch counsel, that they won't be able to go back to anything that she did. And I think the judge already mentioned that she does waive her right to say ineffective assistance of counsel if her attorneys, because her attorneys, they might not be prepared the way that they would be if they were handling her case, because she's going to be given her discovery. She is, at the end, they're going to assign her or they're going to put in an order for her to get a private detective.
Also understand that if you ask your advisory counsel to take the case back over in full, you wouldn't be able to repeat anything that had already happened in the case or do over.
Correct.
All right. Because you'll be acting as your own attorney, you'll be expected to appear for every court hearing and every day of trial. If you do not appear for hearings or trial without good cause, I could consider your non-appearance to be an indication that you want to withdraw your right to represent yourself, and I would order your advisory counsel to become your attorney. Do you understand that as well?
Sure.
Your right to represent yourself is not absolute, and what I mean by that is if you fail to follow procedures, if you don't act appropriate in the courtroom, your right to represent yourself could be revoked. Do you understand that as well?
I do understand that.
All right. Do you have any questions about anything?
I just was going to ask if we were going to move forward from this today and if we are going to be able to reset trial.
We will. All right, I did receive your form. Is this your signature at the bottom of each form?
It is?
And I think I already asked you this, but I'll ask you it again. Your signature appears on this form after you went over it completely with your attorney?
Correct.
All right, the court finds your waiver to an attorney is knowingly, intelligently, voluntarily made. I guess I should ask you, did anyone force you or threaten you to waive your right to an attorney?
No, quite the opposite.
Did anyone promise you anything?
The fact that she said, no, quite the opposite. So the judge asked her, did anyone force you to do this? And she said, no, quite the opposite. And that's where I was screaming in people's chats. I think her attorneys were like, hey, I think it's been recommended to her to not do this. You don't know what you're doing. Like, I'm gonna go back and let her say that again. Like, she says, no, quite the opposite. Like, it's, like they have so much, so much. Now, do we know when, because I feel like another person that I heard testify that kind of had this baby type voice. Y'all know me and names. I'm so bad with names. It was, oh my gosh. Remind me. It was the ex-wife. The brother was on trial. Y'all know the case. No, not Sarah. I think it's in Florida still. It's in Florida. Y'all know. Some people have said that it's an LDS thing, but I've heard it in other places too. Subservient wife voice. People have said that. She's an attorney. She has not been charged with a crime. Her brother and mother have. Y'all know I know these names. I know. We're gonna play grandmother on trial. Son-in-law. Adelson, Wendy Adelson. Yes, we finally got there. I couldn't let it go. Wendy to me just did that like she had that voice and she did that like she had this like, deer in headlights look, and I don't know, like it was odd to me personally, but we got there. We did it. We did it together. So let's go back and hear her say quite the opposite. Like, is anybody making you do this?
All right, the court finds your waiver to an attorney is knowingly, intelligently, voluntarily made. I guess I should ask you, did anyone force you or threaten you to waive your right to an attorney?
No, quite the opposite.
Did anyone promise you anything in order to get you to waive your right to an attorney?
No.
All right, I do find your waiver is knowingly, intelligently, voluntarily made. Your waiver is accepted and entered of record. You will be your own attorney on the case. I will keep these attorneys on as your advisory counsel. Again, if you change your mind and would like them to take over the case, you need to let me know, okay?
Okay.
Your current last day is May 11th. I'm assuming you want to set a trial date within that last day?
Yes, I do.
All right, we're going to set a trial date March 31st.
So I guess May 11th, procedure-wise, I guess May 11th is the date that they have to have all of this done by. I missed that the first time. So they are setting a trial date for this first case for March 31st.
For jury selection at 8:30 a.m. Well, we'll set it at, for now, 9 a.m. That could change the time, but we'll keep the date, March 31st. I'm going to, can I ask advisory counsel, in the event that she wishes to conduct interviews, would you be assisting her in that, or would your office have an investigator that would assist?
Either or.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think generally OPDS will assign an investigator for that purpose, and we would ask the court to endorse OPDS on this post-minute entry.
All right, the court will appoint an investigator through the Office of Public Defense Services to assist Ms. Vallow in any investigation and or setting up of interviews of any potential witnesses in the trial. I am going to set a status conference to make sure everything's on track for the trial date. I'll ask you again, my understanding is there's a large amount of discovery. You're sure that you're going to be ready in time for March 31st?
Yes, Your Honor. Also, I have a reply to the state's response. I know that we said if you were to let me go pro per that I would have 3 days to make this response, and I have a copy for the court and a copy for the state, if I could give you that.
Response to what?
To the state's response to my motion to compel discovery that was filed prior to the Rule 11.
Okay, I'm going to have to,
I believe the public defender's office filed it, correct? The
Was it your prior attorneys that filed the motion to
They
compel
did,
discovery?
correct, yes.
So I'm laughing a little because the first time I watched this, I was like, oh my gosh, like she was so prepared for this. But so I thought pro per. So she really was supposed to say pro se. Oh, poor baby. It's okay. Um, when so she already had the motion prepared by the prior attorney, but she's taking credit, 100% credit for that prior attorney's work. Your Honor, I have my motion, but she's representing herself. Uh, oh my gosh, this is gonna be interesting.
I remember now. We did hold that in advance because of the Rule 11 proceedings. So you can go. You're ready to file your reply? All right.
There's one for the state as well.
Did you get
Or through
Attorney
handwritten.
Trina K filed a response? You received that? And so,
Yes, this is my reply to her response.
all right. I'll take a look at those pleadings because, to be honest, I haven't looked at them for a little bit. I'm going to set a status conference just to make sure everything's on track.
And it does seem like this attorney that is supporting her is because this, like to me, the female attorney has been very vocal about Lori's desire to represent herself and that she is competent, that she is, prepared to move forward. And this is what Lori wants to do. And that's what I think a defense attorney, but because she's already been told the reasons why she shouldn't do this, but it does seem like they are going to, because they can't help her, but they're going to be right there throughout the process. But boy.
Let's set that at 8:30 a.m. Friday, January 10.
one more time, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
8:30 a.m. Friday, January 10.
Can I use your pen? Let me write it for you. Just
Does that work for the state?
as far as I know.
Okay. Does that work for everyone on the defense?
Yes. So,
Okay, so you can say if you Google it, if you Google it, I'm just going to share this screen, okay? Because so pro per, according to Google AI overview, and I can click on, but pro per and pro se are essentially the same thing, meaning in one's own person in Latin. So, okay, so she knows what she's doing. Or I guess I don't know. Like this is going to be a thing. This is going to be a thing. So I started the video with talking about Colby's stream. My heart breaks for the family that's going to have to be interviewed by her. I know Colby's very concerned about her getting like unfettered access to internet. And so Lori comes off vengeful to me, like she would want to get back at people, especially people that she thought weren't on her side. And so we will see. We will see. We will see. Let me know if y'all have general questions about this. I think with the family and anyone preparing for this, I do think the state is also going to be prepared for objections. So she said that she's studying case law. I don't know that she's going to have as good of a grasp on it as a seasoned lawyer would. The Christina B. Now, what Daryl Brooks did do, because I think he did have prior attorneys that wrote down questions, or like he did use the work product of the prior attorneys that might have assisted him some, but he was so guilty. Like he was just that whole thing was a mess, and he did not represent himself in his second case. I think he accepted a plea deal or something. A lot of so not scared. So because the question is, are you scared for Kay? Uh, what I am, Kay's been through a lot. This is going to be emotional. And that's where I hope there are good victim advocates. I know that John from Hidden True Crime is a psychologist. He's very close with that family. And I think probably unofficially, or because I know Colby talks about being in his own therapy. And so if Kay was my client, we would be working on, her breathing, regulating her emotions. Like we would be working on how to get justice for um because Charles is her son, right? Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Kay, this is her son. And Kay has experience testifying in the other case or cases. Because y'all will have to, because Lori's first case was not televised. I think they released the audio. I can't sit through audio only. So um Lori was diagnosed with narcissistic personality features. I think also histrionic personality features. That was my understanding from one of her assessments. Uh, and so I do think that they will. Charles is her brother. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. JJ was her biological grandson. Yes. Who Charles adopted. Thank you. Charles is her brother. Yes. Thank you. Like me. Thank y'all for correcting that. Yeah. Annie Elise and multiple other channels have the audio of Lori's trial. Over on Hidden True Crime. Y'all know me in names. The wife from Hidden True Crime, because I want to say Laura, and sometimes the name I think it is, I'm normally wrong. So over on Hidden True Crime, she talked about the fact that um Lori's first attorneys really weren't all that helpful. Lauren, thank you. I told you. Like normally, like my first thought is normally wrong. Like I feel like it's like Lauren. I feel like so normally what I feel is just wrong. Yes, Lauren. Lauren over on Hidden True Crime. She talked about the fact that Lori's first attorneys really weren't all that helpful to her anyway. And they really didn't ask that many questions. They really didn't put on a vigorous defense of her. And so Lori saw that, and I think she overestimates her own intelligence. I also think that she thinks this could be her platform to spread the good news and to talk about her spirituality and her beliefs and all of that. Over on Hidden True Crime, people ask like, could this be a nightmare for the LDS church? Because Lori, or for FL, like, because Lori's probably, some of that is probably going to come in. Some of that is probably going to come up, and it's going to be ugh. Because I'm just wondering if she's going to like blame it on the Holy Spirit or something. And I don't think she will. Like, I think she's going to find a person to blame all of this on. I thought, I've never heard her talk about Alex. Because I know Alex loved her, possibly in like a weird way, just my own personal feeling from it. Their relationship seemed odd. He would do absolutely anything for her. I don't know that she would do anything for him. The men in Lori's life, like she only does what she wants. And the judge did tell Lori she has to show up. So the judge told Lori, because I guess Lori has refused to come to some meetings or to some hearings, and that if she does not show up to a hearing, that could be a reason why she forfeits her right to defend herself. Because I think sometimes Lori gets in a mood and she's like, not today. And she decides not to go to, like, ma'am, you have court today. And sometimes Lori's just like, I'm not going, because I don't like she would refuse to go to court sometimes. And so the judge did say, if you do that, and so once again, setting those boundaries. The judge said, if you do that, we're going to have an issue. Sarah Boone, I don't think she wanted to represent herself. I think she wanted to prolong the case as long as she possibly could. I think she liked not being convicted, being in jail versus prison. Like, I think she liked not being convicted. because also that held off her family court case. That stopped a lot of other things for her. And she wasn't a convicted with her Scarlet M. She couldn't begin that victimhood that she's for some reason put on, despite it being her actions. That's a whole other rabbit trail for me. But with this, I do think that Lori wants to use this as a pulpit of sorts for her to spew. And I think because so she's talked her way out of stuff before. Because Charles Vallow was like, she's trying to unalive me. Like he was aware that she wasn't a safe person. I think he was concerned about the kids. He tried, and everybody believed her. And ugh, ugh. Um, I'm still in awe that James Owens, Sarah Boone's lawyer, had her edit her letter, and we still heard all that BS. Like, I do not know I don't know what she cut out. And I don't even want to begin to think about it. I think Lori's going to try. I think Lori is going to try to come up with some defense. We do not know what it is. I have no clue what she is going to say. Um, One wonders if any of these crimes would have occurred without the influence of a restricted religion. So within religions that preach and not everybody within a particular belief system has this, because Lori, to me, she didn't listen to the main voices within her religion. And Ruby, the same thing. What happens is there are these radicalized voices that are sadistic and psychopathic, in my opinion, like Chad and Jody. And to me, Ruby was already out there in my own personal thoughts before she even met Jody. But I think they end up thinking it's their calling, and it ends up turning really, really odd. There was a cult. So what is it? I just saw it before I went on today. Let me open this up. Trigger warning for C-SPAM, for CSAM, for child. I'm not going to play anything. I'm not going to, I just want to talk about it because there was a recent arrest. I saw this earlier. I was at Sky's. So I had my headphones in while I was at Sky Zone with my kiddo. Sky Zone, Sky Zone. My kiddo's in the background. Yes. Bouncing around. Let me find. Okay, yes. So let me share this tab. And I need to go back to share my screen. All right. So there is a group called, it is a Christian sect. And I think it was like 2X. Let me get to the name of it. Yes. So it was a former elder of this secretive group called 2X2 or 2 times 2. It was a Christian sect, and he was sentenced to over 120 years in prison over over inappropriate things. I will put this in the chat if anybody wants to go back and learn more about this particular case. In this group, what ended up happening is they call their elders or the ministers in their church workers, and the workers go and live with a church member for a period of time. But there are workers that are doing bad things to children in some of those homes. So it's my understanding there's been issues. And the FB, like, there are all these agencies involved. And in this, they end up talking with because this woman has been speaking out about this group. Okay. So put a 1 in the chat if we should just watch this. Okay. If we should just watch this right here. So put a 1 in the chat if y'all would like to just see this quick, like 4 or 5 minute video. I will pause it. Okay. All right. Y'all know I don't need much encouragement. All right. So let's play it from here. Because I don't think it's only something that's within LDS groups. I think it's when when there is secrecy, when allegations are made and they're not reported to outside leaders. In my state, Virginia, I'm almost positive religious leaders they have to report child. So if and it came out of like the Catholic Church issues. And I had never heard of this either, Teresa. So Teresa, I had never heard of this group. So while this is playing, I'm going to see if I can find any information on it. But let's play this right here.
So a huge development today after a year-long investigation that we took on after getting a number of tips about an under-the-radar Christian sect known as the 2x2 Church. And not only did we expose decades of child sexual abuse, but several of the leaders who were committing the crimes.
This is our first follow-up since our investigation aired, as one of the church elders is now headed to prison for the rest of his life.
For each count 1, 12 years in the Department of Corrections, count 6, 12 years in the Department of Corrections, and count 10, 12 years in the Department of Corrections.
Raymond Zwiefelhofer was a leader in the secretive and isolated 2x2 Church until earlier this fall. He was convicted of possessing child sexual abuse material.
There were 87 files that were determined to be child sexual abuse material, or sometimes known as child pornography.
Zwiefelhofer was convicted of 10.
The victims are 15 years and younger. That was the part that I skipped.
Counts and sentenced to 120 years in prison.
It's illegal simply to possess and for the defendant to know about it. In Arizona, if you're convicted on 1 count, it's a minimum of 10 years in prison.
Zwiefelhofer maintains his innocence.
That is absolutely ridiculous. And in this, they end up talking to some other individuals. Some of their stories are really triggering, so that's why I'm not going to play all of it. But in that segment, they talk to a woman who one of those members came to live in her home, and he admitted to the harm. And the church elder was just like, oh, you were only 28 years old. She was 14. And it seemed like it was minimized almost. And because there were never any legal charges, nothing like that. Her parents found out about it. Like, she was able to tell her parents what had happened. And they believed her, which is huge. Because there's some situations, there are some people that are not believed. And so I found it on Wiki. So we're just gonna, Wikipedia. Minecraft has a Wikipedia? Cool. All right. So 2x2s. Also, so nobody go out and join this. So like we stay away from cults, right? I don't have to say that out loud. Like don't join a cult. Okay. I'm sharing this for information only. Also known as Truth and the Way, is an international home-based Christian new religious movement that has its origins in Ireland at the end of the 19th century. The church has no official name among members, and the church is usually referred to as the Truth. The meetings, so the Truth meetings, or the Workers and Friends. Okay, so like these are red flags. But when pressed, members deny any official church name. That's creepy. Those outside the church refer to it as 2x2s. The Black Stockings, No Name Church, I can't even try to say that part. Workers and Friends, or Christians Anonymous. And the media sometimes calls it 2x2. The church registered names include Christian Convocations in the United States, Assemblies of Christians, and the Alberta Society of Christian Assemblies in Canada dissolved only after it was exposed. Because it's my understanding there's been rampant child harm within this group. I think particularly because they have these workers come and live in the homes with people, and there are often children, and these are these trusted people that then ugh. So and it's not something the family want, like it's something that happens because the family isn't aware that this is rampant within this church and group. Yeah, yeah. So you can start it. But if you're gonna play, you need to go get your headphones. Yeah. Or you can watch it in your room. Only YouTube Kids. All right. Had to parent for a second. Thank you. Okay. Testimonies of Jesus in the United Kingdom. Kristna I Severge, maybe in Sweden, and United Christian Conventions in Australia. These organization names are used only for registration purposes and are not used by members. The church was founded in 1897 in Ireland by William Irvine, an evangelist with the interdenominational faith mission. Irvine soon began independently preaching that the internate ministry, whatever, set forth in Matthew 10 remains and the only valid method of evangelism. So that's where, like, it sounds like there were some beliefs that branched off. Church growth was rapid, spreading outside Ireland. Irvine eventually began preaching a new order in which the hierarchy that had developed within the church would have no replacement. These teachings became controversial within the church and led to its expulsion by church overseers around 1914. Just turning on. There you go. It should connect. There you go. All right. Oh, okay. So there's more information. I will put the link to the wiki as well. It has the history and the founding, early growth, and then I'm guessing there was a schism. Okay. Consolidation. And then there have been allegations. Okay. And so in June 2024, ABC Nightline. So there was a series. I haven't seen this. There's a 2 seasons of a Hulu docuseries, Impact X Nightline. I haven't seen that yet. 2019 there was a 60-minute show in Australia. 2023 there was some additional things, and so there is a lot of stuff. So I will put that link. It's just Wikipedia, but I will put that in the chat as well. But when we talk about out there beliefs, because I don't want to only make it sound like Lori Vallow's the only one out there that has some weird beliefs or some weird out there thoughts. And when people don't question it, because there can be spiritual harm, there can be spiritual things that happen where there are these unsafe communities that can grow and develop, you know. And so that's where I really think it's important for people to um uh I think it's really important for people to have safe community. I think that's important. And so like I said, it's my understanding that within this group, I think because of that, the worker coming and living at the house, I think that opens the door to potential harm for people that don't have good intentions. It's probably not every situation, but like it just, if somebody is gonna not have good intentions and become a worker, like that's kind of how things would happen. And then there seemed to be this secrecy within the leadership that these things then don't get reported to the authorities, which I think would be the appropriate next step. But so I did a video talking about Nature Boy. Okay. So I did a video. It's an old video. Miranda, let me see if I can find it. Somebody asked me to cover that group, and I don't know that I didn't call it after, what did I call that one? Um, that was an old video. Oy. I don't like, I'm gonna have to, if I can't find it, I'll have to go back and try to find that one. It should be in the court playlist. It should be there. I covered that group a while back. Yes, yes, yes. There might have been a documentary. Was there a show made about that group? Miranda, let me know if there was a show made about it. Because if there was a show, I might have named the video about the show. Thank you. So y'all like blue, y'all like yellow. I might straighten the hair, so the hair might be straight on Tuesday. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. The curls might be straight. We'll see what happens. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I remember there was testimony from one of the women that escaped. And I know they had a YouTube presence. And I know that somebody asked me to cover that one in the past. I appreciate you all. There's still 400 of you hanging out. Thank you all. I so appreciate each and every one of you. This coming week, I believe Chloe Driver is going to get sentenced. So keep an eye out for a video on that. We will see if there are any additional sentencings or any new cases that come up. There's a case I'm watching out of Mississippi. If yeah, I like, so if a defendant testifies, sometimes I cover that. His real name is in the title. Thank you. You found the video. Good. I'm glad you're able to find that video. I try to remember to put them in the playlist. I try. Don't do crimes. Have a great weekend. I will see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.